How will Bitcoin choose around 25,000? If you are interested in this question, please follow me. We draw the swap level of 25,000 on the weekly line. Then you can find that we are in the early stage of 25,000. Here, it has a very clear exchange performance. Every time we touch the price, it will definitely move to both sides, which is the place of 25,000. It means that the price will be excluded. It can be seen that we are in this position plays the role of resistance. And here is resistance. And here it acts as support. In fact, at 25,000, I think it is very difficult to break through. Because the amount of chips we have accumulated below it's too big. We have 6.34 million below us that can be accumulated. So we're at the top. In fact, the shock time is actually quite long. But if you compare it with the bottom, it's far from enough. So what if we are in the next for a period of time? If we break the very important level of 25,000, then there will be a terrible inference. Because you can find that if we are in the accumulation area below us, then we are actually not enough to distribute at the top. So once if we go back to 25,000, it can mean that we are in the position below. It is not an accumulation area. If we say that we are not an accumulation area at the bottom, then if our entire large box is walking if it is distributed, wow, how terrible this will be. Then it can be expressed. We are actually going after a period of decline. The middle period of rise is just a rebound. We still have a period of decline. If 25,000 is broken, then it will greatly increase this possibility. So the level of 25,000 is quite critical. This is also the position that we need to pay attention to. When judging weekly charts of such a large level on the weekly line is 25,000. In this place, we also came to test such an important point soon after we broke down. But from the weekly line, there is one thing that deserves everyone's attention. That is, we are on the weekly line. Although we on the daily line, we see this wave of decline in 4 hours. It is a huge decline including the magnitude and volume. Looking at it, it is actually insignificant, very, very small. Compared with the previous ones, it is not worth mentioning at all. Well, if we cut the level to the daily line and come to the daily line, we can clearly find that we have formed a pattern at the top. The structure of the double top. If we measure the target price a little bit, I know that this method is very basic, but it is not necessarily a good estimation method. If we measure the target level that it fell through, it is about 19,000, the range of 50,000 to 20,000. Okay. We have returned to the upper edge of the box at the very beginning of our whole wave of rise. We marked this box as green, which means it is the bottom box. In fact, if the body is backtested to around 19,500 to 20,000, this position is actually very, very deep. But the box below us is absolutely untouchable. At this time, you can do a little review. If we review the bottom of the bear market that we came out of at the end of 2018, and then fell until the beginning of 2019, you can also find that once we break through and move upwards, we will follow up. No matter how big the callback is, we have not returned to this box. Because the bottom is the most important range of the dealer's main bargaining chip. This position must not be easily returned. Otherwise the dealer's main force will have no profit. Only we are at 312. When there is a pin, it is true that when we were 312, the pin was inserted into this box. But basically no one had the opportunity to buy at this pin point, or to open and close positions. In fact, there was no chance. Because of the price at that time. The movement is really too fast, completely at a loss. And will completely kill you by surprise. So basically there is no chance to operate at such a low point. And there is no chance to accumulate chips at such an extreme position of the needle tip. So I think that the top edge of the green box below us is about 19,000. It should not be brought back in any form. If the box is brought back, it will greatly increase our overall position. It is possible for us to have another wave of decline on the weekly line. If we go to such a decline, I believe it will be very, very unoptimistic for the market. In fact, for adjustments, the smaller the better. I hope it is. A callback in the middle of a bear market. And there is still the next wave to go. This is the last market we want to see. If we look at the same level and look back at the daily line, we can take a little observation. In fact, we also had it before. After creating the highest point, there was a drop of more than 20%. If we measure a little bit, we can find that the previous wave of decline was a 23% drop of nearly 23%. And it was after we hit the highest point. In fact, our current decline is also triggered after hitting the highest point. Its 21% is actually very similar to our previous decline. Will we have this kind of rise like before? In fact, we can believe it. Compare the market sentiment. At that time, the market background of this kind of market situation was very different from that of the present. Our short selling sentiment is not as strong as before. Because we have been long for a long time. When we were in this position before, we had many people think that this is just a rebound. But we should look at the volume and our overall performance in the range, so that we can see the resistance behind him. In fact, there is a big gap between our current disk and our background at that time, including the influence of news at that time. Of course, the sentiment of being bearish or unwilling to go long at that time was very strong. But our current sentiment does not seem to be as obvious as before. Our current market is still relatively neutral. So let's cut the level to 4 hours. Cut to this level. And we can find that the market has been doing horizontal shocks. Moreover, the fluctuation range is very, very narrow. That is, a fluctuation range of about 1.5%. This kind of fluctuation range is already extremely small. In fact, for a short seller, a good decline should not be crazy. It is not good to fall all the way down. It is better to fall after a rebound and then fall again. Only when we fall deep can we fall far. And then we can make a profit by shorting. We can also have a better entry price. Why do we drop directly? It is unhealthy for short sellers. Because when our market continues to fall, there will be a lot of short sellers on the top. Then this group of people will make a huge profit. Once a group of people make a huge profit, the dealer will definitely play tricks on them. And there will be a relatively large rise to clear these leverages. Or in other words, these people who have accumulated profits are like you can see in our previous plunges. He was actually after the plunge. He immediately resembled our previous FTX plunge. After the plunge, he accumulated a large number of short-selling profitable people. You can see that after our subsequent rise, he put a lot of chips and leverage. Many positions have been cleared. If we say that we fall too fast, there is a very high possibility of such an instant violent rise. If we pull Fibonacci, I think our most important position now is at the position of 0.5, which is about 28,560 US, then 618 here. In fact, you can find that. If you go back to 618, then the trend of our accelerated decline is that I replaced it with white. And I marked it with a white box in this section of our fastest falling trend. He will be completely eaten up. If the fastest and most violent trend is completely eaten up, can we still say that he is short? I believe it will be very difficult. So I believe around 28,500 is the bottom line. If we go up to 29,500, then our trend can't be called a short trend. So you can pay attention to the position of our rebound. Maybe it will be very, very good next time. It's time to enter. You are very welcome. You can like my video, subscribe and share. Turning on the little bell is the biggest support for me. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.